Tell us about your concern about the beach. You feel there's been enough compression in terms of the beach?
Absolutely. I think the beach continues to be our greatest natural asset.
Natural asset.
It really is. The people are our greatest asset, but the beach is a tremendous asset, and it's actually underused. It's as much traffic as we get during certain times of the year. I think it should be even busier.
What if I told you now more people are coming to New Smyrna Beach, where we are, than to Daytona Beach? Why is it that they're not coming to Daytona and more coming to New Smyrna Beach?
Well,
is it the shark bites? Is it the jetty and the surfing? Or is it
maybe you've done a better job of promoting yourselves, and you've created a small city
the charm.
A charm that you know a lot of people want when they go to the beach.
The county hired, well, the HAB board, the Halifax Advertising Authority. There was some controversy when they hired a new director, being pushed by Ted Doran, the high-power attorney who recently, didn't quite make it as a county chair candidate. But anyway, he got the county council to go above and beyond its salary ranges to bring in a gentleman named Jeffrey Hentz to market Daytona Beach, the Halifax area. How confident do you feel that he can do this on his own without
the reality
bureaucracy of government, city, municipally, and county?
Well, I don't know him personally, but it obviously comes highly recommended by the board, and I certainly aim to support him in promoting the city and giving him whatever resources we can if I'm fortunate enough to be the mayor, and doing the things that are necessary to make our city more desirable. One of the residents, during the last census count, we lost 5% of our population. No other city in Daytona Beach.
Well, that's why I was asking you earlier, when people graduate, go to high school, go to college, come back, where are the jobs? I mean, what are you going to come back to?
Yeah.
You can go to the
the whole point is that some of that has to be created. We have to recruit them. And that's the reality. Otherwise, all we are relying on are the tourism-based jobs, which don't pay enough for people to thrive.
Now, earlier I asked you, I said, Derrick, as a city commissioner, what was your greatest frustration in the 2 years you were there? Repeat for our viewers here what that was.
Yeah, I felt that it seems as though almost, there's no sincerity, no transparency, not only on the part of government, but even on the part of the people who petition the government.
Well, I mean, I know from our own experience in New Smyrna Beach, people get frustrated. They feel like in government, not just New Smyrna Beach, but countywide, the average person is making like $27,000 to $30,000. The average family is bringing in about $50,000, and yet you have people with salaries of $90,000 to $150,000 a year. And how do you convince the voters, the public, never mind the public, that government remains relevant in their lives in Daytona Beach?
Well, my whole campaign is based on that.
Right.
And that's what I do on a daily basis. You convince them that it's relevant by showing them what it does and what it can do. And I think Daytona Beach needs a mayor who can inspire people, not only to vote, but who can inspire people to participate, who can inspire people to participate in community-based and community-driven programs that I hope to lead as mayor. I'm the type of mayor that wants to have his feet on the ground and really work with organizations to make the city better. And that's community groups that are helping young people, community groups that are creating things for older citizens to do. So I certainly can see where people are frustrated and they feel disenchanted with government. But the whole basis of my campaign is to overcome that.
Let me ask you a question. It sounds self-serving, and perhaps it is, but we're a small operation. We're the internet newspaper, Headline Surfer, headlinesurfer.com, where we're bringing a different brand of news, more brash, more immediate. Do you find in your campaign here that you're pretty much locked out of the media in terms of traditional media? I know you've expressed some frustration about the coverage.
Well, I just think that as it relates to my campaign, there's no real desire. The desire to find the truth has not been evident. They just rather write a headline story that kind of gets people to read. Most people who have read the recent stories have looked at it and said there's nothing there.
Yeah, McFall.
Yeah, they just look at that and they say there's nothing there. They're just trying to sell newspapers, and there's no meat, there's no substance, there's nothing apparently wrong that he's done. And so I feel that if they really wanted the truth to that particular story, it would have been easy for them.
Well, let me ask you this.
By just simply asking the right
Your
questions.
opponent, Edith Shelley, she seems like a stand-up person in terms of she would speak her mind. She hasn't, there's been no mention on her part about any of this, isn't it? Does that tell you something about the process of reporting in terms of them making an issue out of it instead of your own opponent making an issue of it?
Well, yeah, to some degree. I mean, the reality is that Ann McFall is a conservative person with
her own
aims and own agenda, and I feel like she recognizes me as a person who's got an agenda, a moderate agenda, and she doesn't support that.
But where does the news journal stand in that?
Well, I let people make draw their own conclusions, but my feeling is that they have not done a reasonable job.
So you don't feel there's a level playing field?
I haven't felt as it related to my stories, and very often you'll find that there's very little commentary from me because I found that the stories haven't been accurately reported or fairly investigated.
Now, I've spoken with you and with Edith Shelley's camp, and both sides have agreed to do a public candidate debate. We just have to pick a venue and a time in the next couple of weeks. Does it surprise you that a small internet newspaper operation is doing the public candidate debates and not your daily newspaper?
Well, it surprises me, and I'm not sure why they would abdicate what I think is the civic and public responsibility to promote what I think is a very important election. So it does surprise me that they haven't stepped up to the plate.
How excited are you about bringing your brand, your direction of what your vision of the city in such a public debate?
Extremely excited. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and I look forward to sharing my vision for the city with the residents of Daytona Beach and Volusia County.
Let's talk for a minute about your opponent, Edith Shelley. Longtime member of the planning board. She's been on the city commission about 18 months now. Relatively a newcomer in terms of going to the lead position, as to some extent are you, in terms of the politics. Coming off of someone like Glenn Ritchie, the prototypical insider, how difficult has it been for either of you, you think, to get the people out there to say, hey, we're going in a new direction now, these are two new candidates?
Well, I think I'm the candidate who is going in a different direction. I don't want to speak for her candidacy, but I feel as though she is more the traditional candidate, more entrenched with the way that things have been done historically in the city. And I'm the candidate that is clearly younger and with a different vision of the way things should be. Clearly hoping to move away from what I refer to as plutocracy of city government.
Now, I know I was critical of this story that was written in the daily paper about race, and that there was concern, or the intent was to show that, well, I don't know what the intent was, but basically what I read from the article was Derrick Henry's black, Edith Shelley is white, Daytona's got a lot of black people. Were you offended by that article?
I was deeply offended, and it was, in my opinion, the most egregious type of journalism possible when you inject the divisive issue of race in such an important issue, such an important election.
Yes. So the article was, you found the article obviously completely offensive.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you talk to the News Journal about that?
I mentioned it to the journalist when she called and asked me. I just told her that I didn't think that they analyzed the real results of the election. Daytona Beach doesn't have a racial divide, it has an economic divide. And that was...
Well, that was the point I was making in my blog, was that, for example, how did Yvonne Scarlett Golden get elected? She was African American, and she won a strong margin. I did speak to your opponent, Lisa Shelley. She too said that that was not an article that she wanted to be any part of.
Yeah.
She also found it to be offensive.
Yeah.
With that said, moving forward, the reality in Daytona Beach is that there are a lot of poor African American citizens, and there isn't a lot of attention paid in that direction. Is that right or wrong? Or am I
Well, I don't think you're overanalyzing it. The 32114 zip code is probably the poorest zip code in Volusia County. Has the greatest.
Give us a territory of that.
That's what's known as the Midtown area, with Orange Avenue, George Ingram, Mary McLeod Platoon.
Ironically, when the police department left and went to another part of town, there's not a lot of hope for people. That even a lot of black folks who own their own homes, struggling to pay the taxes, unemployment's difficult, and there are a lot of whites in Daytona Beach that are in the same boat.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's a disparity really in income or in the housing stock or the quality of life. So tell us about what you would want to do to sort of bridge that gap.
Well, the bridging of the gap has to start with letting the residents know that there is a focus on them. I'm a strong supporter of a local residency preference for staff that are hired by the city. Statistics are showing that anywhere from 70% of the city staff do not live in the city, particularly police and fire. I've aimed to move away from that and move towards having folks who are hired by the city live in the city, to say that the people who live here matter, that they can get the job done. The second thing is that you have to restore your infrastructure to attract new businesses to the city and to strengthen the businesses that are existing.
How excited would you be, as a person, as an African American, as a native of Daytona Beach, to be the next mayor of Daytona Beach?
Well, it really goes down to being a native. I was born here, I was raised here. Convinced my wife to move from South Florida to build our family here. We have a new baby. My chief ambition is to create a city that is worthy of my newborn child's dreams. And I'm an African American, that's obvious, but it's an election of Derrick Henry is really about the city of Daytona Beach and a person who's passionate about it, who's going to work tirelessly to make it the city that I believe that it was destined to be.
What hope do you have? Now, you have a little boy?
Yes.
A couple. How old now?
2.5 months.
What's his name?
Derrick Henry Jr.
So, for Junior here, what are your hopes for when he's college age and he wants to return to his city and start a family? Do you see it being better?
That's my hope. I want to have a broader economy with a better job market. Broader. I mean, we're too narrow right now, and I'd like to find ourselves going in a different direction in terms of expanding the economy of Daytona Beach.
Well, for Derrick Henry, this is Henry Frederick, same Henry, of Headline Surfer, and this has been the Sunday Conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.